Hi, I'm Rachel Karen and welcome to my kitchen. I'm going to be making for you today a wonderful Philadelphia cream cheese clam dip. This recipe has been in my family for many years. It's a huge hit. I make it all the time. You can take it to potlucks, you can have it at home for special occasions. It's wonderful. Even people that don't like clams are fooled by this dip because the star of the show is Philadelphia cream cheese, and people don't even realize that they're eating clams. Now, of course, clams, if you're fortunate enough to live by the ocean, oh, I'm so jealous. If you are fortunate enough to live by the ocean, use fresh clams, please. You know, I'm a big believer in using fresh ingredients. But of course, if you're like me and you live in Colorado, we don't have an ocean. So I have to use the canned. But they're just as good, and it's still yummy and wonderful. So to get started, we of course need to preheat our oven, which I have already done. So that is heating. I have a few basic ingredients. Of course, the Philadelphia cream cheese, the star of the show. We have clam juice, clams, freshly squeezed lemon, some spring onions, green onions as we call here in America, salt and pepper, and of course my shepherd bread. I use artesian bread because I find it holds up better, but you can use any shepherd bread, any round soup bowl that you can get from any grocery store in the bread department would be good. Okay, I'm going to start by cutting into our bread with a serrated knife. It's easier, a bread knife. We want to cut down, but we don't want to cut all the way down to the bottom of the bread. We don't want to make a hole in it. But we need to be careful because we want to save this for the lid. But we do need to take out the chunks of bread that are on the top. We are going to use these pieces of bread for our dipping. So we do need to save those. And I would suggest, actually, if you live in a dry atmosphere, that you immediately start to put the bread into a nice airtight bag so the bread maintains the moisture. Otherwise it will dry out and not be as good. So we're going to remove all the bread from the bread bowl. This really doesn't take that long. It's just getting it ready for our yummy mixture. You know, I've been cooking with Philadelphia cream cheese for many years and love it. It's so versatile. I grew up with my mother cooking. She always cooked every night for us. We were very fortunate. We had fresh, wholesome ingredients all the time. And my love for cooking started, I would say, when I was around 7. I remember asking my mother if I could help her cook Sunday roast. And she said, yes, of course. And I think the very first thing I made was gravy. Oh, and it turned out lumpy, but I have to say, my mum got the whisk and whisked it all up so that it became nice and smooth. And so now our next step is to go ahead and cream together our cream cheese and the rest of our ingredients, making sure, of course, that we left out our Philadelphia cream cheese so it is nice and room temperature, easy to blend together with the rest of our ingredients. So I'm going to go ahead and unwrap these. We do need 2 packs of 8 ounces of Philadelphia cream cheese for this recipe. So we scrape all that yummy goodness off of there. Now I'm going to bring this over here and start to cream this just a little bit with my electric whisk. You can use a hand one, I just like to use the electric one because it's just so much easier. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm just going to get the rest of this creamy cheese out of here, and then my next step will be to chop our onions, which I have here. I'm going to use about 4, I think, today, which will be great. First of all, I'm going to take off the ends, disregard those. finely chop them. Okay, so I'm going to push these aside. Then I'm going to start with our other ingredients. I'm going to open our clams, tins of clams. I'm going to use some of the juice to make up our half a cup, which is awesome. I think I have enough in one can, which is great. And then we're going to add those to our cream cheese. Then I'm going to go ahead and add our second can. Ooh, yummy. I can't wait for this to be done. Then we're going to go ahead and add our clam juice. You don't have to worry about adding ingredients and mixing and adding in other ingredients and mixing. You can dump it all in together and mix at the end. So we're going to do half a teaspoon of black pepper and half a teaspoon of salt to that, and 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon. And you can just about get 2 tablespoons out of a whole lemon, which the lemon with the clams, oh, just matches so well. So we're just going to go ahead and mix this in. And it doesn't have to be mixed in perfectly. During the warming process, you're not really cooking this, you're just warming it all through. It'll all melt together and be a creamy, luscious goodness. So we're done mixing this. I am going to go ahead and add our green onions, saving the tops of the green for the garnish. Just go ahead and incorporate that. And then we're going to go ahead and get our bread bowl. So yummy, you will not be disappointed in this. We'll just add it to our bread bowl. Make sure it gets right down in there to every nook and cranny. Be sure not to waste any. And then we're going to go ahead, place the lid on. So then we're going to go ahead and wrap our bread bowl in some foil. Okay, so that's that. And then you place it on the baking tray. Open the oven. Put it in the oven. And it warms for 3 hours, up to 3 hours. And so here we are 3 hours later. Get ready for this treat. Oh, I can smell it. It smells so good. And for presentation, I like to put mine in a bread bowl. Let's face it, it's bread. Okay, look at that. Woo! Now be careful because it is going to be very hot. So we place it in there. Take off the lid. Ooh, you see that steam? Oh, I wish we had smell-o-vision. Okay. Now I like to put mine on the serving tray. Wood as well, because it is a bread theme. Place it right here. And I like to put a little bit of greenery in mine. Oh, let me get my lettuce. Here we go. Now I just like to spread a little bit of this out on the tray. It just adds a little color for the bread to sit on. And of course our garnish. And of course our bread pieces. I like to set mine all around. Just like so. And then of course some in the actual bread bowl itself. Oh, guys, I wish you could smell this. It smells absolutely wonderful. And there we go. Wonderful, rich, creamy Philadelphia goodness.